Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Kaiserreich. It's time to proceed. The on-chain click has been annexed. Ripperoni. Nothing important. Get naval stuff. Yeah, okay, this hasn't changed. One of these days we'll figure out how this works. Yeah, it should be the same, right? Holy guacamole, I have no idea how this works. This is strategic bombing and better escorts. This is fire detection, air superiority. Interception detection, air superiority. There's air support. This is air superiority. This is air support. Gaining, maintaining air superiority. Close Army-Air Force cooperation. Mass bombing of stuff. Fleet and being. The Big Gun Club! Training introduction. Privateers of the modern age. Indirect warfare. And base strike. Hit hard, hit first. Naval aviation. Man, seriously. They've said they changed it, but I don't know if they have changed it. Oh my god, I have to make decisions. I hate doing that so much. Oh no. Decisions. No, please, help me. Save me. Better artillery? Do I need anti-tank? Sure. Alright. Okay. So. We could do field test stuff that boosts our divisions, or we could make our guns better. Okay. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to go here. Infantry equipment. What are our options? TOZ, IMZ. IMZ just makes production better. The VOPZ. These guys are... Where are they? Owns Kazan and a completed War of Motors. What's War of Motors? Oh my god. Okay. Okay, War of Motors. This is just... Alright, I can just easily get that. Yeah. 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 What the... Penal Battalion, huh? Oh, this is if we're at war. Sometimes soldiers commit crimes. Sometimes even officers commit crimes. The Institute penal units for them. But this is institute is small, only used from time to time. The Okrana has proposed a reorganization of penal units for better use. Okay. Science versus will. Yeah, War of Motors. Okay, that might, in the long term, be good. Okay, my plan is to go pure experimental. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's, like, kind of swaggy. There's buttons I can press. What are the buttons? Enable automatically granting TOZ medals. So... I'm not going to do that. Because I want to build up the funds and then spam them out late. Because that'll make it efficient. The Kievan Kerfuffle. The ruler of our de facto protectorate in Kiva, the backwards Turkmen warlord, Junaid Khan, has long rejected our generous guidance of his rump state, instead attacking brave Russian sons in Ashgabat and Kravnovosk at the height of the Takshent crisis. It does not take a genius to recognize that Kiev will never truly serve us as a loyal subordinate. He is a dog who's bit his master once. The only reasonable course of action is to put him down. Instead, the weak governments of Rudenev and Malikov rewarded the Mad Dog with recognition of his illegal control of Trans-Caspia and the abandonment of any real Russian domination over the Kievans. This embarrassing course of action has been spearheaded by our leading agent in Kiva, the Kornilevite general Ivan Zatsyev, who has gone native, aligning himself with the Junaid Khan at the expense of his homeland. To rectify those mistakes, we moved Zatsyev out, blackmailing him with dubious charges of corruption. He's been replaced with the more trustworthy court advisor, General Vasily Ivanovich Morozov. In response, Junaid Khan has placed General Morozov in glorified house arrest, restricting him from leaving the old city of Kiev or interacting with Russian-sponsored Kievan military school. Junaid Khan's brazen acts have threatened to dismember our informal control of the region, and remaining agents of Kiev report that he intends to strengthen ties with the rogue Turkestani Republic. Without the full support and control of the military and infantry of Kiev over Junaid Khan's provocations would be dangerous and difficult. Instead, our agents within the Khanate propose that we provide clandestine support for the imprisoned Kievan Khan, who, if restored to power through a coup, would certainly prove to be a more pliable puppet. In the meanwhile, we will have to swallow our pride and ignore the mad dog in Kiva, lest we provide him with any more popular support by acting against him. Prepare a coup, the sooner the better. Forget a coup and ignore this pool. Get ignored. Oh boy. Citizen Rono. Citizen Roman, how we doing at, getting mad? Popular anger's at 5, military anger's at 3. Popular anger leads to revolution. Depends if military anger is 5 or above. Military anger is only at 3. Citizen Romanovs, the current claimant to the Russian throne, albeit only in the minds of the monarchists, is former Grand Prince, now common citizen Kirill Vladimirovich Romanov. After the death of the Tsar's grandson Nikolai, Kirill, who was the first cousin of the Tsar, became de facto heir. After the sore disappointments of the monarchists in 1921, as the monarchy was indeed not restored, they have been reasonably conciliatory. Kirill himself had been known as the Republican Tsar, deciding with the February revolutionaries early on the subsequent support for the Republic, if it is the will of the people. Kirill's son, Vladimir, is a darling of the press. Young and handsome, he represents the very epitome of the modern royal of the 1930s. Vladimir delights in Russia's vibrant cultural life, taking part in motor racing competitions, and is a common host of charity events. Many of these also serve as a vehicle for politics, and as the prince is a much bolder proponent of monarchism than his humble and moderate father is. It is Vladimir's strong personality that gives Russian monarchists hope. Savinkov's ascension has created problems for the Romanovs. Savinkov has nothing but distaste for them, but he hasn't dared to move against them, or just doesn't consider them a threat. It does not help that many grassroots Svobodniks do not share Savinkov's hatred of the monarchy. Quite the contrary. They even hold a rose-tinted view of the Romanovs as martyrs of the Civil War. Kirill has withdrawn from what few public appearances he did before, with the worsening political situation has even given Vladimir pause. To his initial statements claiming Savinkov is putting the Republic in order, he's since rebuked any attempts by SZRS figures to gain approval from him. Rumors are that the Romanovs have been drafting plans to leave the country on short notice, should it come to the worst. Exile them before they start to expire. They have no consequence. Exile them before they start to conspire. The Orthodox Church. The Russian Orthodox Church, like much of Russia, has endured the 20th century more than it has lived it. Caught in a seemingly, I'm looking at my number, 8 or more, 5 or above. Magic numbers. The Russian Orthodox Church, much like much of Russia, has endured the 20th century more than it's lived it. Caught in a seemingly endless web of debates regarding episcopal, monastic, and parish reforms of the church, has navigated the treacherous waters of war and revolution, but never smoothly. Even the triumphant revival of the Moscow Patriarchate was not spared from controversy. Patriarch Tikhon earned a deserved reputation as an able leader in the tragedy of the Civil War, but his allegedly liberal attitudes prompted a reaction that bore fruit in the subsequent election of Patriarch Antony after Tikhon's passing in 1925. Patriarch Antony, a firebrand of the episcopal faction, wasted no time in riling up confrontation, first by attempting to make all parishes commemorate the Romanov dynasty in their prayers rather than the more neutral civil authorities, and later by adamantly refusing to cooperate with any land reform. The souring of church-state relations has seen opposition to Antony coalesce around the Metropolitan Sergei of Nizhny Novgorod, a moderate with a history of social welfare activism, and who has likewise drawn moderate clerics and laity to his banner. Though the schism within the church is rarely discussed openly, its intensity has grown stronger as Antony's declining health has made a new patriarchal election likely in the near future. With this in mind, many members of the Sergian faction have approached the SZRS for support, both out of practical concerns for mending relations with the government, but in many cases out of genuine belief in the Svobodnik's mission. The bishops themselves are unlikely to change their dislike of Savinkov, but with additional help, the SCRS could expand its influence among parishes with little difficulty. This, in turn, would ensure that Sergian priests are nominated by the laity and open an avenue through which to influence the broader church. The Sergians seem set on supporting the SCRS one way or another, but how much Savinkov is willing to sacrifice to return the favor remains to be seen. Time for some quid pro quo. We're okay with whatever support they freely offer. Basic machine tools. What decisions? I can influence Poland. Going to the people. We don't have the juice for that, but we do have the juice to influence Poland. Poland! We can do roadworks in the Russian north. That seems like a good idea. Actually, I don't know. I think that's a good use of power projection. Influence Poland. Yeah, that's a good use. And we'll do roadworks slightly later. Dispersed industry? Question mark? I don't know if this is still optimal. Yeah. Yes, it is. Anyways. Though it may not, the Supreme Court, though it may not be true, may be true that Savinkov's confrontations with Vladimir Nabokov, the Supreme Court chairman, have been no less verbally explosive than those with the late Chernov. They've proved no less frustrating for the SCRS's growing ambition. The Supreme Court of the Russian Republic is not only the highest court of appeal, but also the arbiter of the Russian Constitution, and its 18 judges have proven to be a constant thorn in the side of political radicalism. The Svobodnik's pride has arguably not recovered from Nabokov's ruling on the question of the combat squad's legal status in 1935, which struck down Savinkov's attempt to pardon many of his foot soldiers currently languishing in prison on charges of terrorism. Chernov's passing, however, opened an avenue for finally ridding Russia of Nabokov's obstructionism. Savinkov and his cohort in the Duma have nurtured a vote of non-confidence against the Supreme Court for more than a year, but its execution was continually frustrated by a lack of support in the State Council. Now, with the State Council likewise in SCRS, SOR hands, the non-confidence vote, and the paired legal reform bill passed both legislative houses without incident. The slate of Supreme Court, Nabokov included, have been wiped clean in a wave of firings and forced retirements. The few old guards judged harmless enough to remain will be rendered powerless in a new Supreme Court that has not only grown to 24 seats, but has been stacked with a reliable bench of SCRS approved appointees led by Venerable Boris Visheshletsev, Boris Visheshletsev, the top legal expert at SCRS, and now everything is constitutional. We have several things we need to do. Establish the VES. And do the Vakshad program. 7-count Constitution. We're going to establish the VES. With Black Monday wreaking havoc on Russia's economy, the government has called an emergency session to establish the institution capable of meeting the crisis. The proposed Supreme Economic Council will be tasked with drafting plans to combat inflation and unemployment in the short term, along with long-term plans for an economic recovery that will see Russia emerge stronger than ever. We could also end the Vilnius Agreement. The Vilnius Accord of 1926 was the final humiliation. Gripped by economic crisis, President Alexander Guchkov signed a deal with the devil and gave Germany considerable access and benefits to the Russian economy. Yes, slightly cut out growth, but also the entrenchment of German capital in Russia. I think we're going to establish the VES first. And then we are going to roadworks in the Russian north. We would like to reduce their control of the economy. That would be ideal. Oh, these are some pretty nice buffs. Oh my god. Official assassinated. Man lives and breathes murder, walks in bloody darkness, and dies in bloody darkness. At least some are following Savinkov's words, as last night an unknown assailant shot and killed a high-ranking SCRS party official from Ufa, Mikhail Vedenyapin Stegman, A manhunt has been launched, and at least 17 people have been arrested with possible connections to communist activities in Ufa. Stagman was a prominent old Svobodnik and Savikov's trusted man in the area, and the whole assassination does make the security services look ineffective. A common joke is already being circulated about VRBO's assassins using Savikov's own books as a guide on how to assassinate SCRS officials, though it's naturally not a joke that is proper to say, or one might get branded as an opponent of the party. Mi bandito, ubivanto, urcrendanto e pelvanto na zacano. Okay, well. You know, listen. Turnabout is fair play. Oh my god, okay. Okay. So, addressing the shortages as Russia's economy continues to buckle and contract. The public demand for government relief has only grown louder. Hopes are high that President Savinkov, elected as he was on a populist platform, will be willing to intervene on the common people's behalf, no matter the budgetary troubles. Several plans have been prepared for immediate injection of funds into social welfare programs. That said, the elephant in the room is these funds can only come from one place on such short notice: the military budget. The army is, unsurprisingly, mortified their long-awaited rearmament program is going to be reshoveled into soup kitchens. Their assertion that the army is what's going to keep order in Russia isn't entirely incorrect either. The government could try to appease both, but party officials are warning such a course would be ruinously expensive. We can dig deep. The government needs help. Do what we can. Our military comes first as duty to support them, or divert funds from the military to alleviate the shortages. It'll give us more political power, but less war support, and it will reduce popular anger, but increase military anger. Military anger is now 5. Manifesto of the Third Russia. National populism, or national narodism, stems from the Narodniks, Narodists, of the 19th century, the Narodya Volnya and the Socialist Revolutionaries, through Narodnya Volya and the Socialist Revolution is finally becoming the defining ideology of the SCRS. Through the decades, men and methods have varied, but our untiring belief is the strength and will of the Russian peasant has not wavered. What do we believe in? We believe in the people, not democracy. Tsarism, liberalism, and Marxism do not stem from the Russian people. They are ideas of the elites and the tyrants. It is the community of free Russian peasants that forms the heart and soul of Third Russia. What do we believe in? We believe in an undivided, indivisible Russian civilization, one that is of spirit and will and great fate. We believe in a great union of free peoples under the Third Russia, in opposition to capitalist and imperialist impression of nations. What do we believe in? We believe in the Vzad, the leader, on every level of society. We believe in untiring loyalty to the Russian cause, exceptional individuals, tasked to bring into reality. What do we believe in? We believe in deeds, not words. Change comes through action. Power comes through will. Man has no greater cause but to kill and die for the Russian cause. And most of all, we believe in victory. In Russia unshackled, its people prosperous and brave, who will inherit the land. Glory to Russia. Glory to the Vzad. Vazd? Whatever. We're getting rid of that guy. I should probably get some political power guys. What the heck? Oh! That would have been good to do earlier. Oh, right. This is like a whole thing. Hey. Okay. Tireless recruiter. Which are the idiocrats. They probably want a person who moves things towards idiocrats. Right, I remember this is like a whole thing you have to plan out. Weekly balance of power change. Research speed stability. I think we want a chief, Mr. Chief Commissar. Well, I'm actually not sure about that. Military man? Maybe. Maybe we wait for... We're going to go to limited conscription? Maybe we press some other buttons. We're not going to the people. We're not courting the military. We're not sending the army. Oh, God. Okay. Farmer strikes. With the first hurdles overcome, the land reform campaign has built powerful momentum. Many Russian newspapers have taken to publishing daily columns, totaling the acreage of land given to peasants thus far, alongside letters of thanks to President Safankov and the SCRS. However, for every success story, another village's problems have only gotten worse. To no one's great surprise, the field consolidation and migration programs remain the most controversial issue. Out of respect for their independence, the villages themselves are given oversight over much of the process, but many disgruntled peasants have simply stopped bothering to listen to them any longer. Worse yet, anger against the reforms have begun to coalesce into open strikes. Farmers and landless peasants alike have banded together to decry the government's alleged kulakization. That's pretty funny. Oh, that's really I credit to the writers, because this is like, this is something where there's a lot of writing effort being put into this. And I know that, like, a lot of people will just click through these, but I like to read them because somebody put effort in to write them. And let me tell you, the phrase, the government's alleged kulakization of the countryside, is so funny in the context of Russian history. If you don't know, which I assume most of you do, dekulakization was part of the collectivization process implemented in real life by Joseph Stalin. So it is very funny that the same sort of stressors are being put on the Russian countryside through kulakization, because it turns out, yes, there are going to be people who are mad when the government comes in and messes with your stuff, whatever direction it is. Anyways, I think that's funny. So alleged kulakization of the countryside, saying that efforts to make the farms economically viable have trumped promises to give all peasants a fair share of the land. The situation is tense, though violence has fortunately not yet broken out. Nonetheless, much of Russia's central Black Earth region has been paralyzed by strikes, jeopardizing much-needed shipments of grain. Loyal units of the MVD and Cossacks are trying their best to restore order without resorting to bloodshed. The party cannot afford another Tambov. This must end immediately. More popular anger. Less stability. Poland! Anyways, so we are currently at a military anger of 4, a popular anger of 6. We need military anger to be 5 or above if we're going to generate sufficient unrest to overthrow Safankov, which, if you have not guessed, is our goal. So we need popular anger to be 6, military anger to be 5 or above. But that will have to wait until the next episode. See you later. Bye-bye.